Chapter 21. With shaky hands, Ashley ripped open the pregnancy test box and placed the contents on the vanity in the master bathroom of the lake house. Although she longed for a child, now seemed like the worst possible time for her to find out she was expecting. Her life had careened out of control and she had no idea where it was headed. Her future with her fiance dangled by a thread. How would he feel if the test came back positive? Would he think she was trying to force him into proceeding with the wedding whether he wanted to or not? She remembered Bianca's word at the charity auction. First come marriage. His sister would likely try to convince Brett that Ashley had planned the pregnancy. But her relationship woes paled in comparison to the real threat she faced. Ethan still roamed free. The police seemed no closer to catching him now than they had been the day he escaped from prison. In that time, he murdered 3 people, and he warned Ashley that he planned to see her soon. How could she protect an unborn child when she wasn't even sure she could protect herself? The box contained 2 test sticks. Wanting double confirmation of the results, she peed on both of them. She perched on the vanity stool and drummed her fingers on the countertop, jittering with anticipation. This would likely be the longest 3 minutes of her life. As she stared at the wood-framed clock hanging on the wall next to the shower, she heard her cell ring in the master bedroom. She hoped it was Brett calling to tell her he was safe. She texted him earlier before driving to the drugstore, but he didn't respond. She hurried into the bedroom and picked up the phone. Detective Lanson's name flashed on the screen. "Hi, Detective," she said, eager to hear whether the police had any new leads or sighting on Ethan. "Got some news about your doctor," Lanson told her. "Looks like you were right. Surveillance video caught an image of a person matching your ex description at the hospital. The picture's fuzzy, but we think it could be him." Ashley's stomach fluttered. She'd known Ethan would prove to be the killer. Did the police say anything on the video that can help them find him? "Maybe. We think he stole the doctor's car. We'll search it when it's located." She laughed, knowing that would never happen. "If my ex-husband stole that car, there's no way you'll ever find it, Detective," she said. "Because?" "Ethan has some relatives who work for a chop shop in Laurel County. I can guarantee you that car is in a million pieces by now." Depending on the make and model of the doctor's vehicle, her ex-husband had probably netted a tidy sum of cash which he could use to stay hidden. "Good to know," he paused, "but there is something else. You might have information that could help us." "What kind of information?" She already told the detective everything she knew in order to help him find Ethan. "Things from your past. You think your ex is playing mind games? Where would he go next?" Ashley had asked herself the same question, wondering who Ethan would target. The simple fact that the detective would query her on her past meant that the police were no closer to catching Ethan than they had been at the beginning. They obviously had no leads on his whereabouts. "I had no idea he would kill Dr. Fisher, or I would have warned you. And other than my family, my father, brothers, and Brett, I can't think of anyone else he'd want to harm, except maybe Brett's family in Belhaven." Belhaven PD has been filled in, and Metler Ridge PD been on alert since day one. She was thankful her fiance's parents lived in a gated community with their own security and that her father and brothers were armed and ready. "I'll call you right away if I remember anything else that might help." As she disconnected the call, she wondered whether Brett had gone to his parents' house, or maybe he checked into a hotel. She just hoped he picked a spot where Ethan couldn't find him. She decided to text him again. "Please let me know you're safe." She watched the screen, waiting for the word delivered to pop up. An uneasy feeling spread through her as the seconds ticked by. Had he turned off his cell, or had he blocked her? She switched to her favorite phone contacts and tapped his name. The call went straight to voicemail. She didn't bother leaving a message. He obviously wasn't interested in speaking with her at the moment. She checked the time. Her 3 minutes were up. Taking a deep breath, she returned to the bathroom. She picked up one test stick and then the other. Double confirmation. Ashley was pregnant. A mixture of both joy and worry flooded her heart, making her feel like laughing and crying at the same time. She wished her fiancé was here, that she could share this discovery with him. But what if he didn't want a baby? At least not now, not with her. If that were the case, she raised the child alone. She loved Brett and wanted him in her life, but if she had to, she could make it without him. Nothing and no one mattered more to her than her baby. Now with her child's safety at stake, it was even more important for the police to catch Ethan. She wished she could figure out what his next move would be. Contacting his family in Mettler Ridge in Alabama would be too dangerous, and she knew they wouldn't give up any information anyway. Then a thought struck her. Maybe there was someone else who could help, who might know her ex-husband's plan, and Ashley was determined to make him talk. Ashley slid onto the hard metal stool bolted to the floor of the visitor room at Middle Tennessee State Penitentiary, feeling as though she was under a microscope. Before being let in, a drug dog had sniffed her and a female correction officer had grilled her and patted her down. Now, not only were the guards scrutinizing her, the eyes of several of the inmates had followed her to her seat. She'd been stripped of her purse and cell phone as well, instilling a sense of vulnerability within her that she hadn't expected. Folding her hands together, she placed them on the metal table in front of her so they could be seen. She stared at the door where the prisoner entered, wondering how long Vincent Lomas would make her wait. Her cousin Clarence, a correction officer at the prison, had pulled a few strings to get her onto the visitors list of Ethan's cellmate. Clarence had warned her to be careful. The man who shared a living space with her ex-husband had received life sentence for murder. With no idea what Vincent looked like, she met the gaze of each prisoner who trudged through the door. Probably not a wise decision. 3 inmates eyed her and then passed her by. The 4th man who swaggered into view appeared more ominous than the previous 3. His muscular frame crowded the doorway as he crossed the threshold. Dark stubble topped his shaved head and a tattoo of a cobra covered the side of his face. His cold black eyes bore into her as a slight smile flickered across his lips. "Vincent Lomas?" Ashley asked as he approached her table. The prisoner nodded and then plopped onto the stool across from her. "My name is Ashley Hope." He put his arms on the table and leaned forward. "I know who you are," he said, as though he was trying to make his voice sound sultry. "I've seen lots of pictures." Repulsed, she wanted to slap the grin from his face. Instead, she ignored the innuendo, knowing that she had to play nice in order to gather information about her ex-husband. "If you know who I am, then I guess you have a pretty good idea why I'm here. Something about your old man." She nodded, deciding to get straight to the point. She didn't want to spend any more time with her ex-husband's cellmate than necessary. "Did Ethan ever talk about what he planned to do when he got out?" she asked. Vincent laughed and sat back. "Why would I tell you?" She realized the inmates lived by a strict code and snitches weren't tolerated. However, she wasn't in law enforcement and she wasn't asking him to reveal the details of a crime. Maybe she could appeal to his human side if he had one. "I think my life could be in danger." He stared at her. "So?" The coldness in his eyes chilled her, making her appreciate the attentiveness of the guards. She had to try a different approach, one with universal appeal. "I can put money in your prison account." A smile crossed his face. "How much?" "It depends on what you can tell me." He shook his head as if taking control. $1,000, he said. "That's what it'll take." His term struck her as being more than reasonable, if he had information that could stop another murder. Okay, I'll put $1,000 into your account today, she told him. He nodded. Come back tomorrow, he instructed, and started to rise. No, wait, she said, panicking. Please, I need the information now. It's more than just my life that's at stake. My entire family is in danger. I promise you I'll deposit the money into your account as soon as I can get to my phone. She looked at him with pleading eyes. She couldn't let him walk away. She had to make him believe her. Vincent hesitated a moment, then fell back onto his stool. He tapped his fingers on the table. Your old man talked about you nonstop every damn day. She knew her ex-husband hated her, but didn't realize he'd been that obsessed. What kind of things did he say about me? You destroyed his life, and he was going to destroy yours. Ethan never could take responsibilities for his actions. It was his own fault he'd been sentenced to prison. Did he ever say how he planned to ruin my life? She asked. He shook his head. No details, just that you wouldn't see it coming. He leaned toward her. He gets inside your mind. Ashley realized she wasn't the only person Ethan had played psychological games with. You hate him, don't you? She asked. Vincent stared at her, his lips curving into a smile. She knew the inmate didn't care what happened to her, but she guessed that he liked for Ethan to fail, for her ex-husband to be captured, or worse. He knows where you live, Vincent told her, where you go to school, everything. So Ethan had already collected all of the information he needed on her before he ever broke out of prison. How did he find out? She asked. Some guy on the outside kept tabs on you. Brett. He had someone keeping tabs on me? What does that even mean? This guy was watching you, followed your every move. Your ex talked about it all the time. The news hit Ashley like a lightning bolt, stunning her and sending shivers down her spine. How long had this been going on? Months? Years? How long had Ethan been planning his escape? She'd felt safe while her ex-husband was in prison, but someone could have been stalking her the entire time, following her everywhere she went. She wondered whether it was Ray. Did he ever tell you this person's name? She asked. Vincent rubbed his chin as though trying to remember. I don't think so, he said after a moment. Ashley sighed, still reeling from the fact that her life had been invaded without her knowledge. It was high time she turned the tables on her ex-husband. Can you think of anything Ethan might have said that could help me find him? She hoped that maybe he had mentioned a hiding place. The inmate met her gaze. You don't want to find him, he told her. You need to get out of town. The tone of Vincent's warning prickled the hairs on the back of her neck. Destroying your life is not all he wants, he said, pulling his arms back from the table. She watched the prisoner rise to his feet, his cold eyes still fixed on her. Your old man wants you dead. Vincent turned and then walked back through the door leading to the prison cell, leaving Ashley feeling like she was caught in a whirlwind. How much information had her ex-husband really uncovered? Did he know everything about Brett's life as well? Would he be able to find the lake house? She had to figure out where Ethan was hiding before it was too late. See you in the next chapter.